no signs, no symptoms, no absolutely anything. And then we went for our 20-week scan and got told there was no heartbeat. And that's where your head just goes, what? So to go through labor where it's not a happy ending was just something we just both really struggled with to get our heads round.
Hello everyone, welcome to More Than a Name. Today's guest is a 4-time Olympic medalist and Great Britain's most successful female swimmer. 2 gold medals in Beijing and a pair of bronze medals at her home Olympics in London. She was appointed an OBE for services to swimming in 2009. Now a full-time businesswoman, she is very much on the way to creating a sustainable swimming legacy in the UK, including her Learn to Swim programme, which has a goal to get every child to swim 25 metres by the end of primary school. I hope by the end of this conversation, you will take inspiration from the journey our guest has been on, both in and out of the pool. Becky Adlington, welcome to More Than a Name. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you for having me. Pleasure to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. It's our first remote guest, but there's a good reason for you not being in the studio, Becky. You're 8 months pregnant, is that right?
I am 8 months pregnant, so yeah, it's definitely a juggle. It's my third baby, but I'm a high risk pregnancy because I've had miscarriages before. So it's this juggle of I'm still working full time, high risk pregnancy, going in every single week to the hospital. It's definitely been a juggle.
Yeah, how are you feeling at the moment? I saw your last post on Instagram talking about this particular pregnancy. This one is a challenging one mentally for you.
Absolutely. I think I just for a bit of context, I've got 2 children. After my second child, I then had 2 miscarriages. So it was kind of one of those that I didn't know whether we would ever have another child, and if I kept getting pregnant, whether that child would survive, because it was just kind of having multiple miscarriages, and we had a late miscarriage last time at 20 weeks. So it's one of those that then when you get pregnant again, I think for us, we spent so long trying. It took us about just under 2 years to get pregnant again. So it took us so long to try that you kind of forget how you're going to feel when you get pregnant. And then I got pregnant and I was just so full of anxiety and just kind of wanted to wrap myself up in cotton wool, and actually you kind of can't do that, and it's just been a tricky one, mentally, physically, emotionally. um just, yeah, a lot of emotions going on, but I will say we're part of the rainbow team at our just local hospital. So once you've had miscarriages, you kind of don't have a normal midwife journey, and the team are absolutely fantastic. Like, honestly, the support that we've had has just been unbelievable. So I have to give credit to all the NHS. Like, the midwife team are just exceptional.
Well, we appreciate you opening up about that, and I think we if you're happy to circle back to that later, because I
Yeah.
know it's early in the morning and we've only just met you, and I want to make sure you're comfortable.
Thank
You
you.
grew up in Mansfield, Becky, but eventually your swimming club was Nottingham. So these are some big commutes. We talk with Luke all the time about his early football journey with Spurs. Your commute sounded a lot longer than his did.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, it's one of those that swimming, it's we don't have academies like how football does, and how kind of you get spotted and you go to all these different clubs. Swimming is exceptionally different, mainly because we have such high drop-off rates in swimming. So when you go to secondary school, there is a huge drop-off in children that if you do lessons, you might join a club, but then you stop just because of the demand once you get to secondary. And then there's another big drop off rate around 15, 16 as well. So they kind of don't massively target you when you're a little bit, just because of these drop off rates. So they kind of don't want to invest thousands into all these children that are kind of just going to drop off just because of just the demand, and people discover parties and dating and all this other stuff at kind of 15, 16, and schoolwork increases as well. So I was never spotted, if you like. And I think growing up in a very, very small town, we're super lucky in Mansfield because we've got loads of swimming pools, which is fantastic. So everybody can swim. And then I joined a club, and it was kind of one of those that I just, even the coach came to me and said, Becky, I think you need to go to a bigger club. I think you need kind of that next step now, where you need a little bit more training, a little bit more access to the pool, like the sessions. We don't have enough sessions here to physically offer you that is kind of that next step. So at first we went to Lincoln, which was actually an hour and a half away. And my mum just got to the point where she passed out one day because she was driving me, and she just couldn't do it because we used to have to get up at 3:30. She was also juggling two other kids. And then it was a case of, at that point, my mum was like, I can't do this anymore. So we actually moved to Nottingham, which was only 45 minutes away.
She
So it
literally passed out, Becky.
yeah, she pulled the car. She like was driving, pulled the car over, and I was like, "What are you doing?" She was like, "I really don't feel good." And I was like, "Oh, okay." And then she got out of the car and literally she passed out. I was about 12 at the time, and I was like, "Oh my God, my mom's passed out. What do I do?" And just kind of, she came round, and it was just from sheer exhaustion, just getting up at 3:30 most mornings, taking me swimming. She was just doing too much, trying to look after my sisters, trying to just balance her life and work and everything else. So it kind of was just like, as much as she wanted to see me achieve my dream, there had to be that cut off going, hold on, there's got to be a better solution than traveling an hour and a half. So we found Nottingham, and I found my coach, Bill, who then became my coach for the rest of my career. So it absolutely worked out. That was kind of the moment, even though it was a bad moment because she passed out. It actually totally shaped my whole career. So yeah, I owe a lot to that moment.
You mentioned your sisters there, two older sisters. Luke, your brother played professionally as well. So let's talk about sibling rivalries. What was yours like, Luke?
Oh, I didn't have much chance to beat my brother at a lot of the sports that we would be doing in the garden. He was 6 years older than me, but I think it definitely helped my career by trying to keep up with my older brother and trying to beat him at whatever sport we was playing, knowing that with the 6 years like age difference, there wasn't much chance of that, but it really pushed you to the limit to improve all the time. And looking back now in hindsight, I think that really helped me on my journey.
What about you,
Yeah.
Becky?
Yeah, and totally agree. My sisters weren't professional at all, but both my sisters could fully swim. My elder sister's 5 years older than me, and then my middle sister's 2 years older than me. So obviously they could fully swim by the time I came along. And I think naturally, being the baby of a family, you're like, I want to be in the big pool with them. I don't want to be in armbands. And you just look up, you are like, I idolized my sisters. I was just like this little sheep that followed them about, and they just found me really annoying, as most older siblings do. And actually, my middle sister, she wasn't as passionate about the swimming. She did swim and she did join a club. We all did. But it was kind of like she was one of those that was good at loads of other different things. My sister Chloe was good, and she did try and kind of take it a little bit further. And then she stopped when she was about 16 due to illness. But they absolutely inspired me. It was kind of one of those that you see them grafting, you see them working, you see them competing, and you're just like, I want to do that, and definitely motivated you. I mean, my sister still thinks now she can beat me, and I'm like, no, come on, no.
Well, when there's a 3 or a 4 on your alarm, it means you must love what you're doing. Why did you love swimming at that age?
I think it was just at that age, because I wasn't really what I would consider like good until I was about 11, 12, 13 sort of age. Before that, it was just social and I had a great group of friends. But it was just one of those things, I think, at that age in your life when you're kind of becoming a teenager, you're feeling all these different things and it's hard. And I was never academic. Both of my sisters were very academic and very, very good at school. Whereas I always felt like I didn't fit in at school. I just felt like it was really hard at school. Like I wasn't naturally just a bookworm. Like I found the whole thing, like I had to be talked through a lot. Like I just found the way I learn by doing. So I found it really difficult just reading or just being told what to do. I was like, and I couldn't kind of, I just didn't feel like I ever fit in at school. Whereas swimming, I just found this place where I felt like I belonged. And yes, I wasn't like the best in the country or anything like that. I wasn't Tiger Woods, who was just insane when he was like 4 years of age, but I just found confidence. And I think anything that you do as a kid where you're confident at it, I just think that's just what you've got to do. It doesn't matter if you're good or not. If you're confident at something, that confidence counts for so much, especially at that age. So yeah, I just loved it. I loved the people. I loved the family kind of real community environment that swimming has. Like I tried other things like gymnastics and ballet, and if you could see me, you would know I'm not either of those. But it just, I don't know, I found that whole environment quite different to swimming. It was just, swimming was just all the volunteers at swimming, like all your coaches, your timekeepers, everybody, they're just parents. Like that's all it is. And it's just people volunteering. And it's just such a lovely community and this really nice atmosphere. And it's just really lovely to be part of that.
What you're saying there about your schooling and how you were there, and potentially that moved you into an individual sport. We had Greg Rosetsky on last year. It was our first tennis guest, and I think, Luke, you actually said that in retrospect you would have rather have played an individual sport.
Yeah, I think so. I think because it's all on you then. You know, if you're in a team sport, you can potentially play very well, but still lose the game. But I think if it's an
True.
individual sport, maybe if you know, like yourself, you know whether you've done the work in training and going into the event. And if you perform well, you win. But if you don't perform well, it's on you and you know why.
I always struggled with that from an individual sport. So, from my aspect, I didn't do a personal best time, which I guess is my equivalent of winning, if you like, whatever, um, for 4 years. And that's quite hard mentally to cope with. Whereas I guess in a team sport, they can lift you during those moments. Because it's very, very common, by the way, in swimming that you go for long stretches, couple of years without doing a personal best. But as an athlete, the thing that you are constantly striving for is to get better. So when you're not achieving those personal bests, it is mentally hard to kind of get your head around that and kind of keep chasing that improvement. It's almost like you're just chasing a clock, and it's just that's a very hard thing mentally to kind of get your head round, if you like. If I go for a swim now, I'm not going to lie about it, it is boring. I am staring at a black line, and I get in, do 40 minutes, stare at a black line, and it's just myself. Whereas when you're training, you do none of it by yourself. Somebody actually asked me the other day about training by myself because I was like, oh, I don't like training by myself. And they're like, but aren't you from an individual sport? And I'm like, we never did anything by ourselves. Like, and I think you are part of such a team. Like I had the squad, you train and swim 50 weeks of the year. So and it's not like you don't see that you're on training camps. You see these guys every single day. You see them more than you see your family. Like I'm up at 4 a.m. with them. I'm spending all morning in the pool with them, gym with them. We're sociable together. Like you do become a family. So it's not as boring as people think when you're part of that team, because a coach sets the session. You have so many different interesting things going on, whereas I wouldn't have been able to do it by myself. Like now that I go for a swim, I think, gosh, how did I do that? But it's because I go for myself now, and it's really boring. I put myself in the little fast lane, even though I don't go fast at all. But my rule is, unless you are Adam Peaty, you should not be in the fast lane if you can only do breaststroke. That's like my thing. Don't go the fast lane if you're only doing breaststroke. But yeah, I just put myself in there. I do 2K, really just plod. I more swim for mental health than I don't go anything fast at all. I don't even try to go fast. I do it just as a switch off. No phone, nobody wanting me, no mummy, no questions. And I just let my brain switch off. I set my watch, so I don't even have to count. And I just have 40 minutes of just my brain going from one thing to the other. I problem solve, I think about things, I just let my brain wander.
Speaking of your mental health journey, one of your sisters had a very big health challenge when you were growing up. How did this change you as a family, Becky?
Oh, significantly. So yeah, my middle sister Laura, she got encephalitis, which is a brain virus. So she was 17, I was 15 at the time. And as probably many people, you go, what on earth is encephalitis? So most people, most of the time it gets misdiagnosed. Most of the time like even with my sister, they said she had meningitis. So that kind of gives you an idea of what sort of symptoms are happening and what's going on. And it absolutely changed us. So it has a really, really high death rate, unfortunately, getting encephalitis, and it's you never recover from it. So what happens is that brain that swells, etc. Yes, you recover from the actual virus, but the damage left behind from that injury, if you like, and that kind of virus is then permanent. And we're really lucky because my sister did make a recovery, and the things that it changed her. Yes, she gets migraines, and she has her short-term memory isn't kind of what it was before, but at the same time, it isn't anything drastic. We are exceptionally lucky. She's got two healthy kids. She has got a full-time job. You kind of wouldn't know now, but at the time, it was incredibly scary. And I think if you think about what normal 15-year-olds are like, you're normally yelling at your mum and dad, going, "I don't like you," and there's this petty, you're kind of arguing because you're in that teenage years, aren't you? And that it just stopped all of that in our family. Like, we just didn't go through that. We just supported one another. We were there for one another. We just became such a close, an even more close-knit family. And health is bigger than anything, right? Obviously, I'm not knocking my medals or anything else, but I think the biggest thing in life is health. It's just money can't buy your health, and it's just the most important thing.
At one point, were you told to almost say your goodbyes to her? I think I've heard you say that.
Yeah, so yeah, when she first went in, so she got moved hospitals, etc. She was in a coma, and they said, look, because they couldn't really now. A few people have heard of encephalitis, but we're talking 20 years ago. So the kind of understanding around encephalitis was so different 20 years ago. And they kind of came out and told us, yeah, like, we don't think she's going to survive. You need to say your goodbye. I actually didn't. My mum and dad actually made the decision that they didn't want me to see my sister, which was hard because I was still at the hospital. But they did that because they didn't want my last memory of her to be hooked up to all these machines, and like it didn't even look like her. Essentially, she was lifeless on this bed with all these machines, etc. And they said, they kind of gave me the decision, but they said, look, we really encourage you to hold all these amazing memories of your sister, and kind of what you picture Laura in your head, rather than seeing her in this moment where this is what you're going to remember for the rest of your life, if it does come to that. And luckily it quickly changed. It wasn't a case of that was there for like a week or so. Even the next day, she had kind of made positive strides. So it was kind of one of those that we were exceptionally lucky that even though that moment happened, the next day, they were kind of like, okay, she's still in an induced coma, but she's kind of, we were more positive. So that was good.
And as we move into the swimming portion here, you've talked about your mum's sacrifices and what she went through on the car journey, and your sister Laura. How did all of this shape how you saw swimming? Because you became incredibly successful.
Well, I don't know if that was just potluck or whatever, but yeah, swimming just became my everything. And I think at 15, my parents said, I was, again, just coincidence that the hospital was literally 5 minutes away from where we swam in Nottingham, because my sister got moved to the hospital in Nottingham because it was bigger than the one in Mansfield. And my parents were like, we don't want you to just be at the hospital, and we want you to still be a normal 15-year-old. So go swimming and come back to the hospital after. And my coach was brilliant. My teammates were brilliant. It was so nice to kind of escape such darkness and this kind of horrible thing that was happening in hospital. And everybody just treated me normally. Nobody pandered around me or pitted me or anything like that. Everyone was like, all right, Beck, and it felt so good to be normal. So swimming became my escape, whether I was happy, sad, frustrated, swimming was just the thing that I went to kind of get all those emotions out, and I absolutely loved it. And I just love challenging myself. I'm probably one of those rare people, and Luke, I don't know how you felt, but I loved the training. I didn't even like the competition. Like, I loved training. Not many Olympians say that, so I think I am in this rare camp, and I don't know how it works from footballers, just because you have so many games, but I just loved the training. That's what I lived for. The competition was just there, but it was the training that I loved the most.
And when did you realize, that this could be something for your career and you could be special at this?
Oh, when I got a gold medal around my neck at Beijing.
No way.
That was literally it. It was just, I think I just didn't have, like Adam Peaty. I'm going to use Adam as an example, just because most people know who Adam is. And it's one of those, Adam had this great stepping stone. He went to the Commonwealth Games. He kind of went on this really nice trajectory of kind of his improvements. And then he just obviously, once he hit that kind of Olympic stage, whereas I did everything backwards. I had Olympics first, and then I went back and did all the commies and worlds and everything else. So mine was just a complete shock. And I think that's just because at 15, Laura getting encephalitis, I actually got glandular fever, literally at the same time. So I had glandular fever and post-viral fatigue. So it took that bit out. I missed the Commonwealth Games in 2006. So I just didn't have that normal stepping stone, which is why I think for me, it went from total underdog to, oh, you're winning the Olympics, just because of that journey with my health, and my sister's health. So that's why I spent the 4 years between Beijing and London trying to achieve the full set and doing other stuff. But yeah, it also makes it that I didn't think I was going to do anything until Beijing. I mean, even my parents didn't come out for my 400. So my 400 in Beijing was first. And nobody expected me to do anything. I mean, my own parents were like, well, watch that one at home. And then, because it was so expensive as well, like if you imagine to fly out to Beijing for the Olympics, it was, my family couldn't afford that. So they were like, well, let's just come for the 8, because we think that's one that you're going to make the final. You're going to do, you might do something in that one. So even then, when I phoned them afterwards, they were like, why didn't you tell us? And I was like, I didn't know. So yeah, it was a complete surprise, and a lovely one.
2 golds in Beijing. I hope they came out for the second one, Becky.
They did, yes. They absolutely did.
At the last turn, you're kind of back quite a bit, and the commentator's not even sort of mentioning your name.
Yeah, it was. I think I was coming last till about halfway, and then starting to kind of come through. And it was just, I felt rubbish when I dived in, and all the girls went really, really quickly. But because I'm such an endurance swimmer, I just came back. So everyone else went out too hard and I couldn't keep up with their speed, but I could keep it going. So where all the other girls started to tire and started to just kind of go, oh my gosh, my tank's empty and I just need to hold on, I was really coming into my own and just kind of putting my head down and absolutely went for it. But even coming into that last kind of 15 meters, the American girl that was out in the lead, I even thought to myself, I'm not catching her, because all I could see was like feet, really. So I thought she was gone. I thought, oh God, it would be amazing if I could sneak like a bronze medal. So yeah, I was completely surprised, because I just put my head down and went for it. I didn't really look at her for the last kind of 5-10 meters. So it was just unbelievable. I think there's on the footage, you can actually see that I grabbed my mouth and I'm like, oh, because I'm in so much shock that it happened, because it was just sheer disbelief that I was like, oh my God. And the fact that Joe, my best mate, got the bronze medal, I just was like, I think we actually turned around to each other and go, what just happened? Like, I think you could actually read our lips saying that, because we were both just blown away and overwhelmed the fact that had happened. It was just sheer disbelief.
2 things I was thinking of when you were saying that. You had to love the training, I hope so, because it's almost a 4-year cycle. And that in itself is bonkers for me and Luke to think it all comes down to a couple of races. And also, given all of your health concerns beforehand, are you not worried that once every 4 years you might come down with something, or something might happen right before the event?
And it does. And that's what makes it so interesting. And I mean, I know I keep mentioning him, but Adam Peaty in Paris, he went through all of Tokyo, real COVID environment, and all of that. And then he got COVID at the Paris Olympics. And I find it mad that Adam still got a silver medal. How do you still get a silver medal when you've got COVID? I'm like, what? I couldn't even get out of bed every time I've had COVID. So credit to him, but it absolutely does happen. And because most people fear the qualification, because it's more likely when you're qualifying, we qualify, because the Olympics are in July, August, we qualify March, April time. And obviously, if you think March, April time, it is quite rife with colds, flu, just because the weather's colder, etc. So it's more that you really fear, because you go, if I'm injured, if I'm ill, anything like that, I don't even get a spot on the team. Like you totally, they fill your spot with somebody else. It's that brutal. And you're just like, I just want to go. So it's almost like the pressure lifts once you've even qualified. So that's
How did you
good.
protect yourself going to China?
In some aspects you can't. Like, we went to Japan first for our holding camp, and I landed in Japan, and I got a chest infection, and it was just one of those that I was just like, really, out of all this, you train so hard, get up at 5 a.m. Well, you're in the pool at 5 a.m., all this sort of stuff for 50 weeks of the year, and I land the week before the biggest competition of my life, and I get a chest infection. I finish my antibiotics the day of my 400 final. So it's just, you can't, and it's just part and parcel. You've kind of just got to trust I've done the work. Like Luke, you'll know the last bit, it's almost like the hard work's done. You've kind of just got to get yourself there. Like everything's kind of set up once you've done that. There's nothing I could have changed. It's just, I've just now got to prepare the best thing I can possibly do.
2 golds then, Becky, 400 metres and 800 metres. You became the first British female swimmer to win Olympic gold in 48 years. I'm sure you can rattle all this off yourself. You've heard it enough times. And the first British swimmer to win 2 Olympic titles at a single game since 1908. Specifically, though, in the 800 metres, you broke that 19-year-old world record. When did you know you'd done this? Because you mentioned just now that you didn't get a PB for a few years when you were coming up. So that must have been pretty special.
Oh, so special. So it was, the record was 19 years old, by a lady, Janet Evans, in America. And nobody had really even got near the record. So as long as I knew, it was kind of just such a historic world record that was in the books, that everyone was kind of like, it had just become part of the furniture, that world record, because a lot of world records go obviously in swimming, but that one had just been around for, there was like a handful of records that were just so, like, have this kind of legacy status to them, that you're just like, nah, no one's going to get near them, that you don't even entertain breaking it, because they're just, no one fully believes that they ever will, because they've been there for so long. And my coach said to me before the final, he was like, oh, so he reminded me what the world record was. He was like, the world record's 8:16, or I can't remember exactly. And he was like, and I was like, why are you telling me that? And he was like, well, just so you know. And I'm like, I don't need to know that. Like, why are you telling me? I was just a little bit like,
He knew.
he probably did, but because in Beijing, you guys won't remember, the finals were in the morning. So actually, over the week of course of Beijing, we hadn't actually seen that many world records go, because it was a morning final and the heats were in the evening. A lot of the heats were actually quicker than the finals, just because of the nature of doing a morning final. So I think that kind of was in the back of my head as well, going, well, it's in the morning and you're not going to be as quick, because we're so used to swimming finals in the evening. So I kind of just didn't even entertain it. And then halfway through my race, I looked over at my coach, Bill, and my coach, Bill, is a little bit like you guys, really chilled out, like really kind of calm and relaxed. And then I look over at him and he's going mental. And I'm like, what does that mean? And it was just one of those that I think he was going mental because he could see my time. I always think in this day and age, should you not have a clock or something on the bottom of the pool and swimming? Like, because you don't have a clue what time you're going, by the way. But I always think that world record line that you see on telly, why can't it be on the pool? Surely somebody can invent
Someone's holding a pole.
well, somebody could surely invent a laser or something, or at least put like a digital clock on the bottom of the floor or something. So I had no clue I was anywhere near the world record. I didn't have a Scooby-Doo what time I was going. So it wasn't until I had touched the wall. And because I was out ahead, that's why I was so confused by my coach going mental, because I was like, I can't see anyone. I looked both sides with doing obviously front crawl, and I was like, I can't see anyone near me. Why is he going so crazy? Because I'm in the lead here. I was like so confused. And then I realized once WR flashed up and saw that I broke that world record, I was just like blown away. And it was amazing. I held it for 5 years. And then Katie Ledecky, who is an absolute powerhouse in our sport, has gone on to break it 1,000,001 times since, and she's brought it down, I think, a good 10 seconds. She's just unbelievable. So it's been amazing to see it move on so much over the past kind of what we've been since Beijing, nearly 20 years, isn't it? So it's just been so nice to see it move on.
We try and go beyond the headline on this show, and I think winning a gold medal is certainly making a headline, but it's an incredible exercise in understanding your value, right? Because that high of winning a medal, did it last long enough? Was it what you thought it would be? And then how do you move forward after such a high?
Yeah, I mean, certain things aren't what you expect. As in, I always used to like think winning a gold medal at the Olympics was like winning the lottery. I was like, God, if I ever win a gold medal at the Olympics, I'll be running around poolside naked, going crazy. And of course, nobody ever does that. So it's some things are just, yeah, it's just really, really different. But the high, I mean, I still feel like I am on a bit of a, like, I look back now, my life is so far from that now. And you look back and you just kind of almost have to pinch myself going, that was me that did that. Like, that was me that got those medals. That's pretty cool. Like, and especially when you get a lot older and you're telling your kids about it, that just feels, I don't know, I feel incredibly fortunate that I get to sit down and be like, yeah, this is what mummy did and this is what that, like, I think that's so cool. And I still take, like, it's still amazing. I still love talking about it. I still remember it like it was yesterday. I still get goosebumps if I watched it. I still really treasure if I looked at the medal. I don't take any of that for granted. So I think, yeah, that's unbelievable in that sense. And look, I'm really lucky because I know a lot of people struggle when they come out of elite sport, and I'm fully aware of seeing friends go through it that really struggle with kind of missing that competitive side, but also figuring out who they are. They're no longer the swimmer, and trying to find that kind of other identity is really difficult. But I feel incredibly lucky. I knew what I wanted to do, and it was just kind of, I do feel like I am in a very fortunate position in that aspect compared to what I've seen some of my friends go through that have really struggled with retirement.
And you both did stuff so young. Like Luke made his Premier League debut at 19. Is that right?
The same age Becky was
Yeah.
when she won both the golds. Did you feel once you'd won the 2 golds going into the championships after that, did you feel a lot more pressure because now you was the girl to beat?
Yeah, in some aspects, yes. But that pressure only ever came from myself, just because I wanted to get faster and I wanted to get better. I it's Swimming is a very young sport. I will say that. Like most female distance swimmers, it's kind of till your mid 20s anyway, compared to football. Obviously, is a lot later, and I think it's very different once you've got a family, you've got kids to support. There's other things on the line that actually that income and that is that big responsibility you want to be able to provide for your family and the people around. Whereas I didn't have that. I didn't have that pressure of going, I've got to make sure that kind of we can keep up with this and getting an income and all that sort of stuff, because I didn't have kids when I competed. So in some aspects there was pressure, but it was just from myself, whereas I'm quite lucky in the aspect I didn't have the pressure of I need to support the family. And I think football's brutal with the media and the kind of everybody. I like my husband loves football, and I just think every time I've gone to a game with him, I'm like, gosh, these players get so much abuse. Like, I can't, it really upsets me and really bothers me, the amount of kind of stuff that you get shouted. And I'm like, I didn't have to deal with any of that. I'm like, I know that people say about pay and footballers get so much. And I'm like, yeah, but they have to deal with so much. I'm like, it's incredibly, must be incredibly challenging, which I didn't get shouted at the pool. Do you know what I mean? I didn't go to dive in and somebody start yelling at me. So I'm like, it's just so different. And yeah, it's just one of those, we have to handle different things, don't we? So yeah, all in all, it was balanced. And yeah, I was very happy to retire at that point.
Yeah, what don't we know about your build up to London 2012? You won 2 bronze medals there. I think a lot of people would have seen in the aftermath you were very emotional. I'm sure there was a lot of relief. But what don't we know about how you felt ahead of a home games?
I think the biggest factor was it's really hard to come out as an athlete and say I'm not going to achieve something. And I knew going into London, I was never going to get 2 gold medals. I was dealing with a shoulder injury, and that was incredibly difficult to manage because I'm doing distance freestyle. And when you're constantly repetitive notion of that shoulder, I just was managing the pain on a weekly basis. It was just trying to get through each week where I could not be in agony. And I think I knew, because of that pain, I knew that my body wasn't in the best shape, etc., etc. I knew that this sport had moved on. So I couldn't come out, because also people don't know enough about swimming. Like, when I say to you guys, oh yeah, so I'm 4 minutes, you go, is that good? Is that bad? I don't know. Like, people don't know on swimming. So it's really hard to come out and say, oh, I'm not going to get 2 gold medals. So it was kind of a really difficult one to manage, because it's a home Olympics. People just wanted to wish, like, people would come up to me all the time going, you're going to get 2 gold medals again. I couldn't just go, no. So it was really hard to manage, even though I knew that I wasn't. My coach knew that I wasn't. Everybody knew I wasn't going to get 2 gold medals again. So I feel incredibly fortunate I came out with 2 medals at all. I went into that 400 final in 8th place, in 8th. So I swam the heat and I was going in the end lane in last. So to go from 8th to 3rd, I kind of felt like it was a gold medal for me, because I just really, really didn't expect to even get a medal. So I feel incredibly fortunate about it, in that sense. I think it was I just didn't expect, after my 800, because I kind of didn't go on social media and stuff like that. It wasn't until after my 800 where I went back on and seeing most people were absolutely lovely, but seeing how people saw a 3rd place was really fascinating for me, because, like, if you think as a footballer, if you're ranked 3rd in the world as a footballer, you'd be seen as kind of God, wouldn't you? Whereas I was getting, you're such a disappointment, and you're like, I'm 3rd in the world at something. Like, guys, this isn't shocking. I was really blown away by people's perception of a bronze medal. I do appreciate a gold medal is absolutely fantastic and is unbelievable, but I think any medal is fantastic. I think the worst position is 4th or last in my head. So I think that was the biggest factor that I just didn't expect, and that really kind of took me by surprise, and was kind of just a juggle, like, mentally trying to get your head around that, and people's perceptions of that was difficult.
Often when you're watching a football match, you'll look out there and you see them as like robots. Like, I think fans look at them and think they're just robots warming up and they're going to perform 100% all the time. But I don't remember many games that I played where I felt great at all. You know, sometimes I was even in warm-ups thinking, I'm not sure I'm going to be able to start the game. And then somehow the adrenaline kicks in and you get through the match, but then you can't train for another 2 days after because you are technically injured, but you're putting yourself out there and putting yourself through the pain to perform. So those people saying to you that, you know, a bronze is disappointing, they've got no idea what you've gone through to get to that stage.
No, and let's not lie, the human body isn't meant to be doing what we're doing to it. Like the human body isn't there to push it to the limit as much as you do as an athlete. Like that's not what we were created for, and that's not what we are built for as humans. We're not robots. You're absolutely right. And the human body, we've got immune systems, we've got injuries, like just as like you do now. Some days you just feel a bit tired at work, and actually I'm like, why don't people understand? Because there'll be days at work where they're going, oh god, I'm not on it today. And athletes have that, where like your body is just, it's run down, your immune system's not firing, you've got a niggle, you didn't sleep well, you've eaten something bad. There's all these different reasons where I'm like, we're not meant to push our body to the limit as much as we do as athletes. We really do test that kind of the human body. And look, I think the human body is insane, but we're not meant to do that to it. That's not what we were here to do.
How did you decide it was the right time to retire?
I was one of those athletes in swimming. There's you either have those athletes that just keep going until they're forced off a team in that sense and somebody beats them, or there's those people that want to finish on a high. I've always been one of those people that wanted to finish my career on a really high note. So I always had that since day dot, that I always would want to leave on a high note. Part of me thought nothing is ever going to be better than a home Olympics. Nothing. How do you get better than a home Olympics? I don't physically think it's possible. After the London Olympics, I always said, I'm going to take a couple of months off. I'd like to try something else. And then I started working on my Learn to Swim program, and it just became so clear. Like, I just normally you kind of get that itch about 3 weeks after you've had a 3 week break. You're like, God, I'm desperate to get back in the pool. And I just wasn't at all. I was like, I want to go work on that and I want to go do this. So I think I just knew, I was like, I just was ready for a different challenge. And I think for me, because I didn't love the competition, I kind of quickly realized my passion wasn't competing. My passion is swimming. And I think that became really clear, that I just was so done with competing. I've never had an urge to compete since. Like, so many people are like, do you want to do masters and do you want to do this? And I'm like, no, not at all. I don't have any desire to compete. My biggest passion is the sport. And actually, I just felt like I moved departments. It was quite nice. Like, I still see a swimming pool every week of my life. I still smell chlorine on a weekly basis. I've just moved into something so different. So yeah, it was absolutely the right time. And my coach, it was the right time for him as well. He then became head of British Swimming, and it was the right time for him as well. And because I had only been with him, I wasn't also willing to go to a different club. I was like, no, my success is so much of him. I genuinely don't think I'd have achieved the same success if I was with a different coach. So I just kind of, that also solidified the decision of going, no, if I'm doing this, I'm doing it with him and nobody else.
I think it's so important as well that you had something to move into. You mentioned your Learn to Swim program, and also one of the important reasons why, you know, we've got you on today to educate people around pregnancy, Becky, based on what you've been through. You've got 2 children. I mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
Luke has 4. You're 8 months pregnant at the moment. Listening to your fertility journey was incredibly emotional. Where would you be comfortable to start?
I don't know. I guess it was just one of those. Obviously, my daughter is 10, so I've got a 10-year-old. Then me and her dad separated, and I met my husband now, Andy, where then we had my little boy Albie in lockdown, a lockdown baby. Everyone said you either got pregnant or divorced in lockdown, didn't you? So,
I've
yeah.
also got an Albie as well, Becky.
Oh,
Yeah,
cute.
both
It's
got an
such a
Albie.
such a cute name. He does often get called Alfie, and I'm like, no, Albie.
Same.
Yeah. But yeah, no, Albie's such a cute name. It's really, really sweet. So we had him in lockdown, and then we kind of always knew we wanted another baby, and yeah, we became pregnant the year after Albie. And I had a miscarriage at 12 weeks. So I didn't know, there was no symptoms, no signs, and went to the scan where they said we had a molar pregnancy. So it was never going to develop, basically. A molar, it was never going to survive. So I had to have surgery for that one. And unfortunately, I got sepsis after. So I got sepsis after the surgery of that one. So that one was so traumatic, but because of the sepsis and because of just not understanding what was going on, with why I felt so bad, etc. So it was kind of like so much trauma came from that miscarriage, and it wasn't necessarily all from the miscarriage. It was due to being so ill. So then the following year, got pregnant, and it was one of those, we were just so excited. Every single scan was fine. We had a few more scans just with kind of everything that had happened before, checking that everything was okay. There was no signs, no symptoms, no absolutely anything. And then we went for our 20-week scan and got told there was no heartbeat. And that's where you just, your head just goes, what? Like, because it's just mental at that time that you just go, I'm so pregnant. Like, I full bump everything at 20 weeks pregnant, and we had to give birth to Harper. So that was different. I'd kind of, in my head, I didn't think you would have to give birth. It felt really cruel to give birth and go through all of that. Normally, the giving birth thing, you get this amazing human at the end of it where you're just like, oh my God, and you just get over the pain and everything because you've got this beautiful baby. So to go through labor where it's not a happy ending was just something we just both really struggled with to get our heads around.
You had the choice to hold the baby, is that right?
Yeah, so the team are brilliant. So yeah, we got a bereavement midwife. They give you all the choices. Do you want to see her? Because we knew it was a girl. Do you want to see her? Do you want to hold her? What do you want to do? Etc. Etc. My husband knew straight away. He was like, I want to hold her. I want time with her, etc. I was really unsure, really unsure. I wasn't sure what they were going to look like at 20 weeks. I was kind of like, I'd never seen a 20-week baby before. And I just really wasn't sure if it would make my trauma worse and how I would do that. And they were brilliant. They were just like, just see how you feel in that moment. Don't overanalyze it. Trust your gut at that time. And I gave birth, and they take her off firstly, and they put her in this like little basket, and they put a little hat on her, and they kind of just do it so beautifully. And straight away I was like, yeah, I want to see her. And it was just, I just knew in that moment, I was like, I'll regret it for the rest of my life if I don't see her and have that time with her. And actually in the end we had quite a bit of time with her, which was just, obviously it's so emotional and heartbreaking, and you're trying to understand it and everything else. But both me and my husband are really in the place where we're really glad we did hold her and have that time with her. So it's a decision we don't regret at all. So yeah, we made the right call there.
Luke, as a dad yourself, this must be emotional to listen to.
Yeah, for sure. Especially as you're going for a routine scan, I'm guessing, on that 20
Yeah.
weeks, and then to go through what you've had to go through is, I couldn't only imagine the pain. So sorry to hear that.
Yeah, and the thing is, it happens so often, I think, until I obviously knew miscarriage happened, of course you do. But then when you go through it, you realize how many people it happens to. I think, look, miscarriage is awkward to talk about, isn't it? It's hard to listen to. And I also think it's one of those that's exceptionally private. After our second, we had who we would consider good friends, like really good friends, tell us that they had miscarriages. And that was really hard because obviously absolutely your decision to keep it private, 100%. But I almost felt really bad and guilty as a friend that I couldn't be there for those people. I was like, I really didn't know. And of course, they don't hold anything against you because they didn't tell us, so we weren't to know. But it's just one of those that you realize how many people it happens to, and it's such a hard thing to go through. And I would say if anyone does know anyone that's going through it or been through it before, don't overthink what to say to somebody. Like the most loveliest things were just somebody sending me a message going, thinking of you, like simple words of just thinking of you, or sending a hug your way, or do you need anything. Like a simple sentence like that just means the absolute world. Like, don't overanalyze it. Don't try, like, nothing's going to make that person feel better. But just simply reaching out and saying those things to people, it honestly does make a big difference and clears that awkwardness. Because I think the first time you do see somebody, it's like, oh, it's an awkward topic and everything else. Like, just don't let it be. Just be like, I'm really thinking of you and hope you're okay. That's all that needs to be said. After Harper, they actually told us that you try again straight away. With the molar, we weren't allowed to try straight away. We had to wait 6 months just because of the nature of it being a molar. Whereas with Harper, they were like, if you try again, you're going to get pregnant straight away and all this. And then it became this thing where I was like, why aren't we getting pregnant? it was really difficult to go through this kind of almost 2-year journey of trying to get pregnant and trying to conceive, and all these NHS appointments and all these reoccurring things and counselling and everything else. And then obviously this year found out we're pregnant. Well, last year, sorry, we're in January. Last year found out that we were pregnant, that it was just, yeah, it's been just one heck of a journey. I'm now 33 weeks pregnant. So I still know that something can happen. I'm still not at that place where I'm fully relaxed about it. Anything can still happen, but I'm just like, touch wood now, keeping everything crossed that little one does come out safely. And I'm just hoping that I look forward to that moment.
What was your thinking around telling Summer, who would have been a lot older than Albie, when all of this was happening?
Yeah, so straight away, obviously we had to tell her. Like she was, how old was she? 7? I think she was 7. Albie was a baby. He did not understand what was going on. Even now at 4, he goes, "Mummy, will the baby come out with shoes on?" And I'm like, "No." So he doesn't fully understand even this pregnancy in that aspect. So he was never going to understand it before. I was really aware of how I would have to tell someone. So I actually asked the bereavement team. I said, have you got any advice? How do you tell children that you've already got? They gave me a couple of books. One of the books is actually like that you read to your child. So that was really, really good, because obviously when we communicated, we read an actual guidebook that could help us explain things, because you don't understand it as a parent. Like, there was no reason for my miscarriage at all. So it's hard to tell a 7-year-old who just goes, well, why haven't they survived? And you go, I don't know. That's incredibly difficult. Whereas they gave a book to read to her that was just kind of really nice, just kind of about how you're always attached and how you kind of have these heartstrings that really kind of are together all the time. And we got given this little memory box. So you get given, and in this box is like things like your hospital band, etc. But they take hand and footprints of your little one as well. So like, do you know, like the ink ones where you put ink, so they take them. So of Harper, we've got like handprints of Harper, her footprints. They gave us a teddy bear, photos, etc. So we could fully talk Summer through everything, and Summer got to feel that attachment as well, even though Summer never saw Harper. We got to sit down and she looked at her handprints, and you kind of just, she was distraught. Of course she was. I mean, Summer, my daughter's incredibly maternal. She would kiss my tummy every night, say good morning to baby. She still does now. So it's just, yeah, it was incredibly challenging, but she's just, yeah, she was just brilliant.
I'm guessing you had to kind of set aside your grieving for a moment. You're still trying to process what's happened in such a short space of time, and then you're thinking, how can I now relay this back to Summer? It's been an incredible, difficult time.
It was, and I also think that I've never shied away from showing my kids that I'm upset. Like I've never really, like, I want, not almost want them to see me cry, but I think it's important that they see, because a lot of kids, you idolize your parents, don't you? But I think it's really important that you kind of do show your kids that it is hard at times and you do struggle with things, and kind of mummy is just a bit upset at the minute and everything else, because they then know that when they get upset, that's okay, because mummy and daddy do as well, and it's okay to sometimes feel upset. So as much as it was difficult, I also didn't shy away from talking to Summer about how hard I'm finding it, and actually we totally understand the way she feels because we're just as confused. And I didn't try to have the answers, because that she'd have just seen right through that. I mean, kids are so switched on. I think she would have just seen through everything if I tried to hide it or lie or pretend. She just would have known.
The female body goes through so much. How did you react to what happened?
Oh, I, I said it earlier. The human body is an incredible thing. I find it insane that you can grow a life, that I can achieve 4 Olympic medals, that everything. I am in awe of the human body. But having said that, I just totally fell out of love with everything that was to do with the body. I didn't understand why my body had let me down. I didn't understand why. I think when you don't have an answer to why it happened, that's really, really hard to kind of mentally cope with. I think if I knew the exact reason why we had had the miscarriages or why we were struggling with fertility, it would be so much easier. But there was no answer, and that I like to have an answer to most things. I like to know. I don't like the unknown. So that was incredibly difficult, and um, as well, the cruelest thing is the fact that I came out of giving birth to Harper and I still looked 20 weeks pregnant. I still had a bump, and to kind of not have that child at home with you once you've given birth and you still look pregnant and you're dealing with all of this, it was incredibly challenging. So it took me, well, for 6 months, I didn't do any exercise. I just almost abused my body in a case of I just ate loads of crap. I just felt awful. I just had no motivation for anything. And then it kind of, as the grief kind of changed and I could learn to cope with it, I could learn to talk about it, I could learn to deal with it. I started getting a bit of motivation back to actually look after myself again and go, hold on, I've got 2 kids that need me, 2 kids that I need to be healthy for. So got back in the gym and just kind of, yeah, just started to get a bit of life back in me, started to see that kind of really dark cloud lift, and started to kind of just appreciate the human body. And don't get me wrong, I think it's incredibly challenging when you're trying to get pregnant and every month you're not. And then even now going through it, I'm incredibly grateful to be pregnant, but you almost feel guilty that you're struggling. Like I almost feel like I should never ever complain that I'm finding this pregnancy hard. Like I feel almost bad to go, my ribs and my back hurt and I'm in a lot of pain and I'm just really struggling, because I'm so grateful to be pregnant and to have this opportunity and for the baby to be at the minute alive and well and healthy. But it's a very difficult thing to kind of get your head round that guilt of also admitting how hard it is and to go through it. So yeah, it's definitely a juggle.
And did you have second thoughts at all about, trying to get pregnant again and putting yourself and your body through it again after the miscarriages?
Absolutely. Um I was definitely in that camp. My husband was absolutely desperate for another child. And it kind of, I said to him, after we had been trying for a year, I said, can we give ourselves another 6 months? I'm happy to give it 6 months of again trying. But after that, I need to take a step back because it's absolutely just I'm just struggling, like mentally every month taking a pregnancy test and it's negative. Every month going and speaking and being on waiting lists and trying to understand why we're not getting pregnant and doing all these tests and going through all this thing of every doctor telling me there is no reason. It's just, it was so hard. And you kind of don't realize, and it's also hard for you as a couple to try to conceive, and it's like, well, I'm ovulating and then we need to do that and this, and you just, it's a lot to monitor all the time when you've already got 2 kids, you're working full time, you just feel like it consumes you. So I think it was one of those that maybe it was the fact that we were coming to that period where we were kind of just going to relax about it, where actually maybe sometimes it's just the taking that bit of stress away. And actually then we fell pregnant, and it was just unbelievable. At first I was like, I couldn't believe it when we took the pregnancy test, because I was just so used to negative results. When we first took the pregnancy test, I was like, I'm sorry, is this positive? Like, I almost couldn't believe it. I think I took about 10 or 15 tests. I went to the shop and bought so many because I was like, am I reading this right? I was like, I almost didn't believe that we were pregnant because it had just been so used to seeing negative tests that it was just, yeah, I spent a lot of money on pregnancy tests in hindsight. So yeah, but absolutely worth it to obviously just have that a bit more in the back of your head and just kind of then go, oh my God, I can't believe it. And we just kept looking at each other. And obviously we didn't tell the kids for a while.
There are couples everywhere sharing photos of having kids. They don't mean to upset other people and they should be able to celebrate, but it's also something you can't avoid seeing. So, do you have any words of wisdom for women who aren't currently in a position to get pregnant and are worried about that?
Yeah, and it is hard. I'm incredibly aware of that now, like posting on Instagram about it. I think that's why I've not um I'm very aware that a lot of people, it's hard seeing everyone else around you get pregnant, and I'm very aware to not overpost or just kind of go out there with it. And I've been very different this time. I've not taken any bump in the past pregnancies. We've taken bump photos, we've taken photos of the kids holding my tummy, and you've kind of go over, but you have baby showers, you reveal the gender, all this sort of stuff. And actually we've just been so different about it, and I think it's because we know so many people are struggling going through it, but also we're struggling with it and we're even pregnant. So I think you're just very conscious of that. And I think try not to compare yourself to others. I think that's been definitely key, that it's not, I've never felt bad for, I've never seen somebody else get pregnant and go, oh, well, that's unfair. I've never felt like that. I've always seen it and gone, oh gosh, I really hope that pregnancy goes okay. It more makes me nervous that I'm like, oh, if somebody shares something and it's very early on and I'm like, oh, fingers crossed that child's okay. I want nothing but health and like everything to go smooth for that couple that are pregnant. But yeah, it's hard to compare yourself and to go, why not us? And somebody said to us after, oh no, sorry, we read it in one of those help books. There was a quote in one of them that said, you can't ask why me when bad stuff happens if you don't ask why me when good stuff happens. And actually we live a lot by that now, because it's like you can't play victim and go, well, why me, when all negative stuff happens, if you just take all the good stuff, because actually a lot of people out there aren't having the good stuff either. So Yeah, that's kind of really helped us through and not kind of get into that mentality of, oh gosh, this is so unfair on us and everything else. So that's really helped us.
What's on your positive why me list?
Well, just things like, why me? Why the fact that, like, we have two healthy, amazing children. I am in a full-time job. I'm not out of work, and we're not struggling to pay the bills, all that sort of stuff. We've both got our health. We're healthy people, and all that sort of stuff that you look at friends around you, and everybody's got their own challenges. Everybody has got, somebody's going through cancer, somebody's going through unemployment, somebody's going through every difficulty of their own. So it's not just why me with pregnancy, when so many people are going through so many different things, losing a parent, all these different challenges that everyone goes through. So you've got to take the good, haven't you? You've got to take the lovely times and the family times, and the fact that we've had amazing holidays and all this sort of stuff. You go, gosh, we're so lucky.
Becky, I know you've only got 1 minute here, so I'm going to try and go 2 questions for that.
Yeah.
First of all, where are the medals? I know you're in a busy house.
Yeah. Do you know what? Tucked away in a safe. And that is really, so many people ask me this, and I'm like, if our house ever get broken into, I can't replicate those medals. Those medals are just, yeah, they're everything. I do take them to like schools and events because I love showing like the kids. Like, I wish I had seen an Olympic medal when I was growing up. It's so cool. I never had anything like that. So I do take them out and about. But yeah, very, very conscious that if I lost them, um, they're gone.
Parental love, pretty unique. But given what we've talked about today with body image and everything else, have you learned to love yourself at this point?
Um, Learnt to love myself. I think as you get old, well, I can only speak from my own experience. I think as you get older, you come to accept yourself a lot more. I don't know if I'd use the word love yourself a lot more. I don't know whether if I always love myself, but I certainly accept myself a lot more. And you realize what's important in life. Like, I just don't care as much. Like, I think in your 20s, you're like so bothered about your appearance and about everything, and not leaving the house without makeup on and all this different thing, and you want to look your best all the time. And actually, when you're a working busy mom, a bit of mascara is absolutely fine, and I feel fine. I've learned to accept that and leaving the house and that, rather than looking prim and proper all the time, because it's life isn't about the way I look or my appearance. It's about health. It's about relationships with people. It's about, much rather meet me and leave me going, oh, she was a nice person, rather than, oh, she looked good. I'd rather any day of the week somebody say that I was a better person than the way I looked. So I think, yeah, you just learn to accept yourself and kind of, yeah, not necessarily love myself all the time, though.
We hope you can get to that point because you've been incredible, and we're sending love and best wishes for the next month and the future as well. And there's so much about you that we didn't know before researching for this show. So thank you for being so open, and I'm sure it will help a lot of people.
Oh, no, you're more than welcome. I always think honesty is the best policy, and it's certainly helped me. I always feel like doing these things as well. It's almost like therapy for you. I almost feel like I've had a therapy session for the past hour. It's been great.
We'll send the bill, Becky. No, thank you so much for your time, and all the best for the rest of the week.
Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Becky.
Thanks, Becky.
Thank
Take
you.
care.
Bye bye.
Well, there she goes, Becky Adlington. And Luke, after everything she just said, you think about what she's been through. A lot of people won't be aware of that. What an incredible person to persevere.
100%. I really enjoyed that. I think it's a story of resilience, isn't it? Becoming, the world's best record holder, double Olympic gold medalist by the age of 19, and then obviously the sister's illness, and then obviously going through the difficulties with pregnancy and miscarriages. I think her whole life so far has been one of resilience, and she's an incredible person, and I really enjoyed that episode.
And we didn't talk about it, but she actually met her new partner, Andy, on Bumble. So she'd gone onto a dating app publicly, and I wanted to ask her actually how that felt. But I don't think she sees herself as a former Olympic champion or a celebrity as such. She's very down to earth.
She's very, very humble in the way that she speaks about herself. But she mentioned there that often you're not quite sure what position you're in during a race. Like, how do you know that you've got to go faster, or how do you know that you're, competing at the times and the splits that you've worked toward, and looking up and seeing your coach going mental when you're 8 lengths clear, and no idea why he's doing that. And then obviously it was because she was on time to break the world record. But
That
yeah,
shocked me. How can you see someone whilst you're doing an Olympic swim?
and also your coach jumping up and down while you're clear. You're thinking, is someone overtaking me? It might make you panic in the pool. But maybe he felt that this is the one time where you might be able to break the world record. You're in peak condition, and this might not ever come again. So maybe that's why he was going. He was so animated on the side of the pool, because he knew this was the chance to break it.
And imagine competing at a home Olympics. You were at QPR 2012 Olympics, was that right?
2012, I would have been at QPR. Yeah.
Did you go to any of the games?
No, I really wanted to go because my eldest at the time was doing a lot of athletics at school, and I just felt like it would be such a great inspiration. And for whatever reason, I really don't know why I didn't end up going, because I absolutely loved the Olympics when I was a kid. I'd watch it from morning to night. I'd watch absolutely everything about it. So yeah, I'm really disappointed with myself actually that I never actually went to the 2012 games, because what other chance are you going to get when it's just on your doorstep? So that's a regret of mine for sure.
Yeah, Becky Adlington, 4-time Olympic medalist, 2-time gold medalist, and I'm sure a lot of women out there listening will take inspiration from her story. And we've got lots of exciting guests to come, the likes of Darren Bent, Jamie Lawrence, and Monty Panesar as well. Jamie Lawrence is a good listen when that one comes out.
Yeah, I knew it'd be a good story, and actually getting Jamie in to recount it, himself was incredible. I could have spoke for hours. I don't think something like that will ever happen again. I don't want to spoil the story too much, but obviously he was incarcerated twice, and he managed to come out and make the Premier League as a footballer. So incredible story, and one that I'm sure he'll be looking forward to getting onto the screens at some stage as a movie, as he mentioned to us.
Yeah, all we'll say is Jamie Lawrence left prison, and 17 months later he was in the Premier League. And Darren Bent, another former Villa player as well.
Yeah, Benty, one of my old teammates. Love playing with Benty, and I think you'll get from that episode how much he enjoyed scoring goals. He lived for goals, and it was all about going out there. If we won 3-0, but he didn't score, you could still tell there was an undertone that he wasn't happy going away that weekend. So absolutely loved football, and there was a breath of fresh air when he turned up at Charlton, and a great guy.
Yeah, we're really looking forward to Darren Bent coming on. Talks a lot about how much he loves scoring goals. That's the feeling I think that most football fans want to experience. But next week we've got Monty Panesar, 2-time Ashes winner with England. Fascinating guy, 167 test wickets, and a great appearance on Celebrity Mastermind. We're going to talk about that and the Ashes as well. Thank you once again to Becky Adlington, one of my favourite guests so far. See you next week.